All right, people. Review of the week time. So, a lot to talk about. Oleksandr Usyk, Krassyuk. What the hell is going on there? That split just came out of left field. Parker Chisora III. Anthony Joshua coming back in October, November, or December, but he will come back this year, possibly against Deontay Wilder, who is fighting this week. We'll preview his fight now in a little bit. Let's start with the show that happened last night up in Birmingham. Eddie Hearn Matchroom, Galal Yafai headlined against Francisco Rodriguez Jr. Now, I have to level with you. Rest of the card, we were going to talk about. Alright, we were going to talk about because I didn't get a chance to see, I got a chance to see the knockout with Conan Walker against Liam Taylor, but I haven't seen the fight. But I watched the full 12 rounds last night, and it was, right. Let's just talk about this, okay? So, I knew who Francisco Rodriguez was, and going into this fight, I was like, ooh, that's a potential banana skin, because he's a veteran. He's only been stopped once in 6 defeats, and that was by Chocolatito about a decade ago. He's fought the likes of Donny Nietes, who was a very, very good fighter at the lighter weights back in the day. He's fought Kazuda Wayoko, who was a very, very good fighter again at the lighter weights. I think he's still fighting, or is he retired? I'm not sure. And he's also went the distance with Junto Nakatani. That takes some doing. Junto Nakatani is a tremendously talented fighter, and that was a couple of years ago, I think 2 or 3 years ago. So, cut long story short, the guy has only been beaten by the absolute best. He really, truly has. Now, Galal Yafai, I have seen his professional career. I knew, obviously, decorated amateur. He won Olympic gold in Tokyo 2020. So a lot was expected of him. It's not his fault that he's in a division where there isn't a lot of talk about the flyweights, the light flyweights, the junior the super flyweights, etc. Realistically, when you get to featherweight, that's when people start mentioning you. But anything under that, it's unfortunate that's the way it is, but anything under that, it really takes some work to get your name out there. You know, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, I think, has the potential to be a star, but it's difficult, right? Let's cut with the BS. It is difficult. Now, Galal Yafai, I've seen all the Yafai brothers. I've seen Cal, I've seen Gamal. None of them have ever impressed me. He is the best out of them all, but the bar is not exactly set very high, at least in my opinion, with his two brothers. I know Cal was a world champion, but Eddie Hearn picked Louis Concepcion all those years ago, who was a very weak champion at 115 pounds. And the minute he stepped up against Israel Gonzalez, he lost that fight, but he got a gift decision. When he fought Chocolatito, they thought he was past his best, and he was, but he did past his best. Chocolatito beat the living crap out of Galal Yafai, pretty much ended his career. And then Gamal, doesn't even start with him. I mean, the guy had absolutely no chin to speak of. He was beaten and hurt by the likes of Gavin McDonald, who couldn't punch his way out of a wet paper bag. He was dropped multiple times by Jason Cunningham, who again in his own right, not a particularly big puncher. So the bar wasn't set very high with regards to his brothers. Now, Galal he looks better than the two of them, but not by much. And I hadn't been crazily impressed with his pro career, but against Sonny Edwards, and again, Sonny Edwards' comments in the corner that night, it does take away from a good performance, which it was from Galal Yafai. It was a good performance that night. I think it was in Birmingham as well, back last November. It takes away from a good performance because Sonny Edwards said he didn't want to be there, and you're fighting a fighter who knows that I'm not here to win. I don't want to be here. Even though you look good, that's all the people can talk about, which is unfair. It is definitely unfair. So Galal, not many people are talking about him. In a lower weight division, this was really going to be a coming out party, but when I seen who he was fighting, I was thinking, oh, don't be surprised if the upset happens. Within the first 5 seconds, Francisco Rodriguez was putting it on him, and I was like, oh boy, he's not winning this fight. And in the first round, he was hurt a couple of times. I think it was round 7. I think it was round number 7, where it appeared as though Yafai got dropped. The referee ruled it a slip. For my money, it should have been called a knockdown. All right, and he was hurt multiple times in this fight. As you can see, scorecards, 2 of them 119, 108, 118, 109. I couldn't find a round to give to Yafai, quite frankly. I mean, he was beaten from pillar to post. And as we were coming into the championship rounds, for me, I would have, to be honest with you, I think the corner should have stopped him. I think that he was obviously dropped in round 12. He took a lot of punishment throughout the course of the fight. And I think looking at how he was going, he was getting hurt a good bit in there. Looking at how the fight was going, the fact he had nothing to keep this guy off of him with, he had no answer for anything that was coming back, I think the corner should have pulled him out probably after round 10. They let him carry on. He took a beating. I mean, at the end of the day, flyweight division is a division where you tend to see fighters really start to fall off the map, so to speak, at about the age of 28, 29. Some of them sub 30. The guy's 32. I really don't know where he goes from here, to be honest with you. That's what I got to say on Galal Yafai. There's not much else to say. I don't want to necessarily say write him off, but it's the beating he took matched with the fact that he's never looked crazy impressive. He's in a division where there is a lot of good guys. If he moves up in weight, and again, at the end of the day, move up in weight, you're 32 years old, you're not going to fill out much more. So you can only really go up to super fly, which is probably going to get harder, and you can't really go from there. So it's a really difficult path he's in. I don't know what to do with him. I really don't. But look, it's only one loss. So at the end of the day, let's wait and see. Moving on from that, let's talk about the main breaking news. In fact, actually, I know this is a boxing channel. I know that. I do have a like of UFC. I do. I have a like for it. I don't know enough about it to talk about it religiously on here, but Jon Jones has announced his retirement from the octagon last night. Jon Jones is whenever I tell people that he's one of my favorite UFC fighters, they're always like, I'm like, yeah, I know outside the ring he is not a nice guy. The failed PED test, some of the other stuff about him, but in the octagon itself, Jon Jones was just, for me, he was phenomenal to watch. I loved watching Jon Jones. Yeah, it's just a shame that we never got to see the Tom Aspinall fight. He is now elevated to, I believe, UFC champion, or heavyweight champion now, Tom Aspinall. It's a shame we never got to see that fight because it would have been good. But Jon Jones has walked away from the UFC. How long is that going to be? Do you think that that's just a ploy for him to get more money out of Dana White, given the fact that he knows Dana White is now gone into boxing? Because Tyson Fury is mentioning Jon Jones not so long ago, after Francis Ngannou or during the Francis Ngannou fight, stuff like that. So could Jon Jones potentially, although he's retired from the octagon, could he potentially be looking to maybe make a venture into the world of Queensberry boxing? And I don't mean with Frank Warren, just Queensberry rules boxing. Let's wait and see there. Oleksandr Usyk, 4 weeks before his rematch with Daniel Dubois, Alex Krassyuk announces split from Oleksandr Usyk. This does come as a shock and a surprise to me. As I've said several times, I said in the video I did today, Krassyuk and Usyk had a very good relationship, it seemed, on the surface. So you do wonder what's gone wrong. Alex Krassyuk released a statement, and I'll read it out here. It says, "A dream come true. Thank you for all we've gone through, and for the honour to be the lifetime promoter of the Double Undisputed." So he's certainly Alex Krassyuk, and I don't recall hearing anything from Oleksandr Usyk, but he certainly, Alex Krassyuk, hasn't come out, saying anything bad or not saying anything at all, really. So he seems to have, nothing but good things to say about Oleksandr Usyk, but it is still so random. I mean, these were hugging in the ring several times, especially after the Joshua fight, the first fight. They seemed to be on very, very, very good terms. They seemed almost like friends as opposed to, fight or manager. So it really is a strange, out of the blue split. And it's the timing of it that is the big worry for me, because Oleksandr Usyk has always, as I said in a previous video, he's changed trainers several times throughout the course of his career, and it's always seemed very amicable. But we've never really seen his team, as in the team around him, Krassyuk, Igis Klimas, etc. We've never seen anything change there. And now it has. And it's happening 4 weeks out of one of maybe even the biggest fight of his professional career. It is a worry. That's a worry. So if you are an Usyk fan and you are, looking forward to this fight with Daniel Dubois, I genuinely speaking, I would be a little bit, intrepid about it, or there'd be some intrepidation about it, because Oleksandr Usyk, again, we don't know how that's going to affect him mentally, And again, Usyk has been someone where mentally he just seems to be just almost in the mindset of a monk. It's just train, box, and that's it. Nothing ever really seems to faze him. Maybe this is the one, who knows? It is very, very strange, and a lot of us are speculating because, again, we just don't know. So we can speculate on what this is. We can ask the question, could it? And listen, I've seen some people actually speculate and say that this actually isn't the case, that this is kind of a elaborate ploy by Oleksandr Usyk and Alex Krassyuk to actually lull Team Dubois into a false sense of security. I mean, listen, I mean, I can't say that's not the case definitively because anything is possible, but I just don't understand why you do that. You know, you didn't do it for Fury, you didn't do it for Joshua, and some would say Dubois at this moment could be more formidable because he's a different style, he's a lot more aggressive. I really don't know. It really is a strange one. So that is Alex Krassyuk and Oleksandr Usyk. They have parted ways. Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. We already know, but I'll just reiterate it. September the 13th on Netflix. Dana White will be promoting it. I looked at a couple of clips for my sins of that sit down with Piers Morgan. I mean, Piers Morgan is I don't like him. Full in the long and the short of it, I don't like Piers Morgan. I just can't. And the questions like he was asking them, I just don't understand it. You know, I think that Piers Morgan Uncensored, it worked well for Eubank Ben because it's quite a controversial show, and both guys were, you know, animated. You had Chris Eubank Jr. doing his thing, you Conor Ben doing his thing. I think in that scenario it worked. The Dubois Usyk one, I don't think it did. This one, he's asking like Crawford questions, you know, could you kill me with one punch? You're like, what? You're like, I'm sorry, what? So I don't get this whole Piers Morgan doing the face-offs for these guys. I really don't. I think it should be, especially a fight like this. A fight like this warrants a face-off. It absolutely does. And, you know, a round table face-off kind of thing. But I think you have the likes of Ade. You have the likes of Max Kellerman. And I seen Turkey Al-Ashik tweeting a picture of Jim Lampley and Max Kellerman. You have the likes of them who could do a much better job. And I personally, for me, I just think that would be better. Piers Morgan is just someone I've never warmed to. I don't like the guy. I don't want to listen to him talk about boxing, especially when he knows clearly nothing about it. And whatever it is he does, I mean, I don't even know what he does, but whatever it is he does, just stick to that and leave us all alone. Because that guy, like, even just his name, Piers Morgan, like, I've never met a Morgan with a surname or a first name that was anything other than a massive twat. And apologies to anyone with that first or surname, but just in my own life, I went to school with one, and oh my god, just let's not go there. In fact, actually, if I told you some stories, I could probably get my channel shut down and probably sued by a member of a GAA team. I'm not going there. Some of my friends back home know, and for those who know, they flipping know. But let's have a look at some other news that's knocking around. The Ring magazine have been a little bit slow for updating their main X profile, because do you remember what it was, Michael Benson? Because that was who used to run that account. I mean, he was like that with the news. We'll hop on to boxing scene. So one of the benefits of this new setup is that I've got a bit more room to be able to kind of maneuver. I mean, you can't see that I'm obviously using a laptop, but I'm using a laptop, and it's making it's making a massive help. It really is. Oh yes, Deontay Wilder. Let's talk about Deontay Wilder. So this week, in fact, actually, is there even an undercard? Because this is on, what is it, BLK Prime or something like that it's called. Do they even have an undercard for this fight next week? Let's have a look-see here. Let's have a quick look. Oh, they do. They apparently do. So, actually, it's a big undercard. Well, I say big, lots of fights on it. So there's many fights on it, none of whom's names I actually know at all. Literally, there's nobody. Latif Coyote, he was a former cruiserweight contender. He actually fought Luis Ortiz. I think officially it's a first round knockout for Ortiz, but it's been changed to a no contest because Ortiz failed the PED test, and that was years ago. Deontay Wilder is in a 10 rounder. There's not a single scheduled 12 rounder on here. And I literally know nobody on this show. There's literally, I don't know what to tell you, there's literally nobody I know on it. But it's an interesting one because Eddie Hearn has been mentioning Anthony Joshua. He's been mentioning the fact that he thinks Anthony Joshua is going to come back. Well, he said he will come back this year at some point. Potentially he's going to come back in either October, November or December. Now, with that in mind, your question becomes, well, now that Dylan White is facing Moses Atalma, which seemed like the likely opponent, who are you going to put him in there with, right? Now, me and Ade talked about this on our show. We talked about Martin Piccoli potentially being an opponent, and yeah, that would make sense. He's certainly not on a great run of form, but it's a bit like the Jared Anderson, but they both fought. Both guys can blow hot and cold. If they blow cold against Anthony Joshua, brilliant. Great chance for Anthony Joshua to look good and steal the show. If they blow hot, man's in trouble. Whereas Deontay Wilder, he's not blowing at all these days. He's literally doing nothing. So Wilder should beat this guy on Friday. I have no doubt that he will. But I'm going to be very curious. I'm probably not going to. I won't do a watch along because I don't even know if we're going to get it in the UK. But I will stay up and try and find a different method of watching this fight. I will stay up on Friday night to watch it, and I'll do a post-fight review, of course, then and there. But I think if Wilder's been looking crap for years now, and yeah, I think that the fight has marketability. It has market value. The casuals will watch it. They will lap it up. So in that sense, yeah, they could do the fight, and it will probably be a win for Anthony Joshua, most likely, because I think Joshua was over the hill at this stage, but there's no way he's going to be as over the hill as Deontay Wilder. And if you look at both guys in terms of the mental aspect, because I do like the mental aspect of boxing, of course, Wilder just seems not in a good place at all. Anthony Joshua does. Anthony Joshua seems to me as though the weight of the world has basically been lifted off his shoulders, because Anthony Joshua's had the pressure of Matchroom. He's had the pressure of so much on over the last couple of years. Now, I get the impression he's fighting almost, well, he's not fighting, there's no fights lined up, but I get the impression that in his career now, there's a sense of freedom there, because he knows he's near the end. He's really holding out for Tyson Fury. There's nothing really there. There's no real, kind of, burden he has to carry. So Joshua just seems to be absolutely, in a really, really good place. So if they do the fight, and matchmaking wise for Eddie Hearn, it makes sense. A lot of money. Joshua should win. He really should. I seen that Munguia, apparently his B sample came out positive as well. So Munguia, and given the fact that fight, even though it was in Saudi Arabia and it was all, because that was one thing I was kind of wondering about, even though it was, pretty much an American show in Saudi Arabia, it was under the auspices of the British Boxing Board of Control. So therefore, they are the ones who are going to be issuing out the penalties and issuing out the, the appropriate action. So Jaime Munguia could find himself, up a something creek without a paddle. He really could. He could find himself up a certain creek without a paddle with that one. Now, let's talk about Joe Parker. Let's talk about Joe Parker and Derek Chisora. So Joseph Parker, Derek Chisora III would be approved by the WBO and the New Zealanders heavyweight title. The WBO is open to Joseph Parker defending his interim title against Derek Chisora. The New Zealander is also willing to accept the trilogy clash against Chisora, having previously beaten the Brit twice via split and unanimous decision. I'll go on to read verbatim. He's been given the green light by the WBO. He's expected to return Joseph Parker in September and has already been named as the mandatory challenger for the winner of Usyk versus Dubois. The WBO have given their blessing on this fight as Derek Chisora is ranked at number 7. Now, I've given my 2 cents on this. I will talk about it a little bit more in this video, of course. I get the fight from a financial perspective. I get it. It's the most money Joseph Parker is likely to make. In fact, while I have it's so handy having this laptop here. It really, truly is. I don't know how I ever did it without it. We will look at the rankings in the WBO, and I will honestly say it probably is that Derek Chisora is the highest paying fight out of them. But is he the most credible? Well, certainly not. Certainly not. But let's have just a quick look-see, real quick, at the WBO rankings. So, number 1, Atalma. Not going to be him. He is fighting Dylan White. Number 2 is Hrgovic. You could potentially do that fight, but it's an in-house fight with Queensbury. In fact, the top 4 fighters in the WBO rankings are all Queensbury fighters. Hrgovic, you could do the rematch with Zhang, but again, is that really going to put butts in seats? Is it going to pay you what you're going to want from Derek Chisora? And you got to remember, Joseph Parker only just scraped through Zhilei Zhang last year. And then you've Lawrence Okolie at number 4, who's a bit of an unknown commodity at heavyweight. He looked good in his first fight against, I don't even remember who it was, but you don't really know what's going to happen. Jared Anderson in there at number 5. not really going to pay you the kind of money that you want. Anthony Joshua in there at number 6, that would be a fight that would pay him probably more than the Chisora fight. Is it as risky? I think there is an element of risk, and Joshua will be confident given the fact he's already beaten Joseph Parker. But I think that he will probably look at Chisora and think, I won't make as much money, but there's hardly any risk in it. Chisora's been looking terrible as of late, even though he's been winning. So there you go. I think that's the way he's looking to go. You've got Morak Asiev in there at number 8. Again, makes no sense. A guy called Sharenko. I can't say I've seen him, and I don't know his first name. He's Ukrainian heavyweight. I don't even have a picture on the WBO page here. 22-0. It's not going to be him. David Alaye is fighting Filip Hrgovic. Hassa, I've seen him, but I can't again put a face to him. F.A. Ajagba in there at number. Wait, listen to this before I tell you. F.A. Ajagba's in there at number 12. They clearly haven't updated the rankings, right? Because I'll tell you why. Guess who's lucky number 13? Johnny Fisher. Hang on a minute. Like, how did he get into the... Like, I know they haven't updated the rankings yet, but like, seriously, how did he ever get that high in the rankings to begin with? I don't know. Otto Valina in there at number 14. No, don't do that. And Richard Torres Jr. in there at number 15. So, yeah, look, with the exception of AJ, who it won't be, it's the easiest fight with the most money. I mean, it truthfully is. Whether we want to admit it or not, it truthfully is the easiest fight with the most money. It's just unfortunate. I don't know. I don't like the fight. I think that Chisora, he looked bad second time around. That was nearly 4 years ago. He's not going to have improved. Joseph Parker certainly has improved since then. So for me, it's just a cash grab. That's literally what this fight appears to be. Just a cash grab by Team Parker. Easy payday. Have a run out. And then fight for the full title. Or if nothing else, get elevated the full champion. That therefore means, like, where does this leave the IBF situation? So Derek Chisora is announced as IBF mandatory. Then there's a final eliminator between Frank Sanchez and Filip Hrgovic called, which won't be happening because Hrgovic is going to be fighting David Adelaide. And now the mandatory, who is Chisora, is now going to fight Joseph Parker for the interim WBO title. Like, what the... I don't know. I really don't know. But that appears to be the bulk of the news this week. I'll go back onto the Ring Magazine's page and see, is there any little other thing that I may have forgot to touch on in the immediate time, but I don't think there is. I think it's primarily going to be, a lot of it is just Canelo and Crawford. It's the July 12th show, which I've just done a video for the Ring Magazine. It's not up yet, but I've just finished recording it today. So that should be going up in the next couple of days. And yeah, that's pretty much, I mean, I'm really struggling. Oh, of course, Brian Norman Jr. got that one-punch knockout over there in Japan. So now that Boots Ennis, who has moved up to 154 pounds, Brian Norman Jr. is going to be putting in some work at 147, I believe, because I didn't think he had that kind of power in him. I really didn't. Let's end it on this one, right? David Benavidez, Callum Smith in play for October. 2 questions. What happened to Anthony Yarde? We were hearing that fight was pretty much a good to go. Now it's Benavidez versus Smith in October. Don't sleep on Callum Smith in that fight whatsoever, because Callum Smith is a massive 175 pounder. He's probably the biggest puncher Benavidez, maybe with the exception of Dave Morrell, that he will have ever fought. So I think that we are in for a hell of a fight if that in fact is the case. Callum Smith is desperate to be a world champion again. He still has loads of desire. He still has loads left in the tank. So yeah, I'm all for that fight. That, I think, is that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it, because I've said it once, I'll say it again. That ain't no joke, that studio light, in terms of the heat it comes off it. It ain't no joke. So I was dreading review of the week, because I always know they're 20-minute plus videos, and I was thinking, oh boy, I close the windows, I pull the blinds, and I put that flipping light on, so it is warm in here. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If nothing else, I deserve a like just for that. Just for flipping that, I deserve a like. So hit the like button, hit subscribe. I hope you have a great week. Until next time.